I'm still struggling to remember what that means.
Okay, cool. So hopefully this will get us both caught up to date. I'm gonna read some of the text out loud. Mike's skipping ahead. Um, so yeah, this article is a continuation of last week's post. Blah blah blah. Well, we should
Do we,
probably do that at some point in time.
do we need to do that?
I don't wanna put the. We're already putting the horse before the cart, or the
Okay.
cart before the horse. So maybe we'll horse cart that later.
We'll see how much we understand.
Yeah, so cool. Let's figure out what object.entries and object.values are. So Mike, this is where you this is where you shine.
Sweet. So should I just copy all this?
Yeah.
First, I called it.
Is this a Polish name?
Oh, which one? Z-Salt?
I don't think the name.
I don't know much about Polish, but it doesn't seem like Polish to me.
All right, well maybe we'll figure that out.
It had that Polish vibe.
Yeah.
Didn't get a chance to go to Poland.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to Poland the other day, but I just couldn't book a flight in time. Radical. So we are not doing this in the developer console because formatting is kind of weird. But we could do it in the developer console if we wanted.
Is this a thing here?
That is the output. So you want to go down and click
That's what I
console
thought.
down there.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, 1 second. If we were typing this in the console, in the Chrome console, then that last line right there, last email, that would have been. Oh, that's weird. That would have. Let's forget. Let's forget that ever happened. Stop clicking so much. Stop. So can you just hit that with a console log, object.keys, wrap that with a console log? Yeah. Cool. So
Kablooey.
yeah, there we go. First, last email. So let's look at what was going on there. Object.keys returns an array of the keys of an object. Pretty simple, right? Rad. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. But that's not anything new, right? So in ES7, object.values and object.entries are also available. I wonder what the difference is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's too bad. I'm
I
sure
don't
that
think
somebody
so.
has that there's support for like Vim key binding somewhere in CodePen.
No, I'm not gonna search that right now. I could, but
You gotta do object.values account.
like this.
Mm-hmm. And that second one's gotta be entries. Sweet.
Enties.
Can you expand that console a little bit too, so that we can see more of the history? Rad. Yeah, clear it and let's run it one more time just to get some of that jar. There we go. Cool.
Oh, we run it.
Uh,
Just fucking completely.
cool. All right, so we have the first one, which is nothing new, and that's first last email. Values is just the inverse of that, and gives us the values. So that's cool.
Wow.
And entries is fantastic. This is what I've always wanted in my life.
It gives us little objects here.
Yeah.
Are these lists?
Yeah, so you could think of it as a tuple of tuples. Or a three tuple of tuples. Or just a list of tuples. That makes sense.
Is a tuple like an immutable object?
No, it just means a vector with two entries.
Okay.
But I'm using terms that aren't really native to JavaScript, so
I like the vectors.
yeah. Rad. So that's super cool and useful to remember. And today I learned something brand new. And
No,
awesome.
we already learned stuff. We can be done now.
No.
I'm just kidding. Hold on. So what's next?
Okay, so next we're doing object.entries. So let's delete all those old console logs because those are just going to clutter up our whole style right here. And yeah.
I can't really read these pixels. I wonder if it looks horrible in video.
Yeah.
On like a higher resolution screen.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, for context, this is only obviously the second in a series, and we're still figuring out all the kinks. Right now we're working on a monitor that let's just say it's not a monitor. So the pixels are confusing to say the least.
It's TV.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah. And it's an old TV too.
Run.
This thing's like 5 inches thick. Yeah, you want a console log that. I think if we were doing this in an actual developer console, that it would give us a little bit more information. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So this is a thing. This is what we're living with here.
How do you take one of these things and just pretty print it into the console log?
That's a great question. So what we're running into now is account map is just getting more or less two-stringed, and it apparently doesn't provide an obvious pretty print. No, well that's, yeah. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you hover over that real quick?
This thing?
Yeah. All right. Sweet. So let's just open a new tab and we'll copy paste this and we'll I think it's Control Shift I. Yeah, there you go. Nice. We don't need that console log. Nice, you're so fast. All right, and account map. Rad. All right. So if we expand that, so map must be a new object, a new type of thing.
This map?
Yeah. So let's go back to the tutorial. Okay, so object.entries can also be used for creating maps. So what we did was we instantiated a new map from the list of tuples. Interesting. And then it created us a map. So symbol keys are ignored from the keys, values, and entries arrays. Symbol keys are ignored from the keys, values, and entries arrays. Well, maybe we'll figure that out in a second. The entries method was already defined for arrays in ES6. Well, apparently I'm super out of date. And it returned an array iterator. Okay. Well, let's unpack this. I feel like symbol keys being ignored is just a small little aside, and there's no example for that.
Symbol keys?
Yeah. Symbol is a new thing. Remember in Ruby, there's symbols?
Yes.
Kind of like that, but not exactly.
I like symbols, but so ES6 symbols are different than Ruby
Yeah,
symbols.
they don't have any syntactic sugar though, so they're just kind of.
I'm not sure about that.
Wow. Well, I'd here get the iterator here. Should we just console log
Yeah,
it?
let's do that. Yeah.
Sweet. I like what's happening here.
Cool. And yeah. So we're gonna do.
I need a for let.
Yep.
Value key.
Now this is interesting. I guess it's just destructuring.
I wonder what this will spit out. Oh, it just goes through and kablooies everything down flat, smack dab on the 1, 2, 3.
That's nice.
Do I have to iterate or next it, or if I do, it'll go to the other one I want it?
No, well, the for loop does that.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So let's figure out what object get own property descriptors does. Let's scroll down a little bit for that one.
Oh my gosh, computer. Oh, right. Should delete everything.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So I'll read this out loud. Object get own property descriptors returns all property descriptors of its first argument. Well, my first question is just what in the heck is a property descriptor?
Yeah, would I know a property descriptor if it bit me?
I don't know.
Let's make a descriptor. I really want to listen to Despacito.
You know, I'm really happy that you're not a light speed typer at this time of day, because if you were, then we would just be breezing through this way too quickly.
Are you making fun of me?
No?
Yeah, you know, I always wanted to be one of those guys who's really good at typing fast, and I've had to come to terms with the fact that I just never will be.
You know, sometimes you see those people that are just flying, just blasting out code like super fast, and you just gotta wonder.
Well, Vim key bindings would make this a lot faster.
Let's look at these property descriptors. So, noise. Just make it taller.
Oh my god, you're so smart.
Oh shiz.
Good cut my pants down there.
Cool. So a property descriptor is apparently an object with. Oh. Yeah, I still don't get it. I'm gonna read ahead a little bit. Object.getOwn property descriptors returns all property descriptors in an object with the same keys as the keys of the original object. Following 4 property descriptors are returned: value, writable, get, set, configurable, enumerable.
Whenever I see like enumerable, I always get really confused and intimidated by the code that I'm looking at.
Enumerable just means it can be enumerated. Cool, what do all these things mean? So, starting from the top, configurable true means if and only if the type of this property descriptor may be changed and if the property may be deleted from the corresponding object. So,
it means that part of the object is mutable.
maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Interesting. Enumerable, true, if and only if this property shows up during enumeration of the properties on the corresponding object. Now what I wonder is, so there's, if I recall correctly, there's a couple different ways of iterating over objects, and I don't mean arrays, I mean objects, and some of them iterate over just like has own property stuff, and others will go over everything. But it's beyond me right now.
Usually what I want is I have like an object and I just want all of its properties and keys printed to the console minus all of the
flim-flam?
All the flim-flam, zim-zam under the hood stuff.
Well, I think you got that with the entry stuff, right?
That's basically what this is, hey? Or what that is, or what this and that.
So, oh yeah, okay, so you know what reflection is, right?
Right.
So this is just some reflection. We're getting information about the different fields in this object.
Yeah.
So right now, whether or not we really understand what configurable or enumerable implies, I don't think it really matters, because if we ever need to inspect an object, maybe we're doing some sort of cool stuff at runtime, then we can figure out exactly what's coming down the pipe. So I'm not gonna dwell on this for too long because we don't have all day.
Well, we've got oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that.
We've got, that's because it wants me to select this text. It's teasing me. Cards. There we go. It's got stuff in it.
Yeah, but that's the same cards from before. It's just
yeah. I was just thinking like, what's next, but I don't know.
no worries. We got a big example here. Yeah, let's try that one, even though it is a lot to type. Maybe we'll just edit this out later.
You can just talk while I'm typing, and I can speak.
There's only so much I could talk about.
You've got plenty to say, don't you? Like, you can tell us about the finer points of Vitruvian hardware.
How about silly and rail?
Bone. Flop.
Nice.
7D.
For a second, I thought that all of the example code here was just gibberish, but it turns out that these are just things I'm ignorant about.
7C. Like, for example,
What 7C, 7D? I mean, I could wager a guess.
Ace of Hearts, Queen of C's.
God damn, you're so cool.
That's what I assume, but I don't know actually.
I'll just take your word for it.
It's gotta be some shorthand for poker or something, for card games.
Curlies. You're freaking me out, buddy. Curlies.
Let's see.
Okay.
This. If I go back and correct stuff,
Curlies.
I will go faster. This is when I wish I had Vim key bindings.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how to do anything on a PC because I don't have home and end keys or page down, page up.
Don't forget your return.
I know.
Oh, do you?
I know. Control A doesn't work. See, I literally don't know how to use a computer.
Cool. Yeah. Early work, still working out the kinks. It's kind of always going to be like this too, because I can't guarantee that we're only ever going to be doing JavaScript stuff. So there's probably going to be times where we're going to have to be working in IDEs that we're not fully familiar with or that don't have built-in Vim key bindings. So
yeah,
I guess it is what it is.
I'm hoping I'll have a little bit more configuration done like next time.
Yeah.
And for times in the future, because then at least I can like zip around and we don't spend too much time watching me stumble around like this.
Yeah, I think if you weren't blasted sky high right now, you might be a little faster too.
Nah.
Cool.
Gosh darn it.
So how many views did our last video get? 5,000? 10,000?
That remains to be seen.
I guess the numbers aren't in yet.
Well, yeah, you know, these videos will sit out there until they become obsolete, but somebody will find them maybe. Find them helpful.
Until then, I guess we'll just keep talking to ourselves, huh? We are making so much progress. Cool, so let's look a little bit more at what we have actually written. So I'm looking at the left side of the screen right now.
Me too.
We have a getter, and this just does some splats for cards and flop. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess we're never really going to call these in the example given. We're simply going to ask for them to be described. Okay, so you've written console log descriptors. I like what you're doing here. So let's just do that one first. And it appears as if you've broken something, Michael. What are we missing? I suppose if I was paying more attention, this would be obvious.
I've got to have misspelled something somewhere because I was sort of getting mega distracted while I was typing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How about this? Let's shortcut this whole process, copy this into the About Blank tab, and then it'll give us it'll actually tell us something.
Yeah, because this could just be the kettle calling the pot black.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Object.
Oh, object, capital O.
Uh,
God darn it.
So good with the capital O's. We could have found that if we had stared at it for like 10 more minutes.
Just click it. You need a mouse pad. You realize that, right?
Click it or tick it.
Your clicks
right?
are way too inaccurate. And I tried using that mouse earlier, and it was slippery, to say the least.
Oh, dude, this mouse.
Not the mouse. You just need a mouse pad.
Don't even make me prove it to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, we got... Can you help us out with that console? It's way too small. Thank you.
Just keep snappaging back.
You gotta stop pulling it over that. Right, yeah, that.
Wow.
Right. So
why is everything so difficult?
Yeah, well, it's 6 in the morning. That's probably has something to do with it.
6 in the morning.
Cool. So we essentially just got a bunch more stuff than we got last time, including some new interesting stuff. We have descriptors of functions. So if you look here, can you highlight that hand down? So if we want, that is something real interesting. So I'm not super up to date on getters and setters and all that stuff in the brave new world that we're living in, but it's interesting to me that the descriptor is more or less collapsed into a single object that then independently describes the get and set methods. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Sweet. So if we go back up in the tutorial a little bit, we can see that get and set are both actually already mentioned here. So we have get, a function which serves as a getter for the property, or undefined if there is no getter. And set, a function which serves as a setter for the property, or undefined if there is no setter. So Mike, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you just, if you then try to assign or access a property, even without the parentheses, at least this is how it works in other languages. If you do like player.flop, or player.hand, it's going to call this function, whether or not you are doing player.hand parentheses.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so, and if you do assignment, then it would be player.hand equals new hand, and that would be an argument to this function. So it's pretty cool. At the same time, I've always felt that it's a good thing and a bad thing, because what can end up happening is you might slip into the territory of doing too much in a getter or too much in a setter. For example, if you have an object that, and this is usually always the best example, if you have an object that does anything asynchronous whatsoever, if you hide that behind a getter or a setter, what ends up happening is that it's not a blocking operation, right? So if you call get and it does something that's non-blocking, well, the expectation there is that it's a synchronous thing and it just happens instantly, right? Same thing with set. Matter of fact, at an old gig a long time ago at a nonprofit, somebody came in and they rewrote all of my networking code. This is a different stack entirely. This is in PHP instead of JavaScript. But they rewrote all the networking code and they hid all of the network requests that I spent so many months writing and testing. They hid all of that behind getters and setters. Well, what would happen is if you were writing code, you'd say get transaction history, and you would have no idea what was actually going on behind the scenes, which was like 3 or 4 SOAP requests. You would have no idea, and so if you were going through the code, it just blends into the rest of the code, that was the original author's intention, but at the same time, it obscured too much. And I don't think that hiding stuff like that is a good idea. Anyways, some people would disagree with me, but I feel like it's a little bit of a leaky abstraction. All that said, don't do too much in your getters and setters. I think a little bit of business logic is just fine.
Well, don't you generally like have a naming convention for anything that's not obvious that does something asynchronous? Like,
Yeah, I usually use fetch.
Like get, fetch. Yeah, that's a good word.
At least for like a retrieval type thing. And then...
Update.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you wanted to... There's a lot of verbs.
Yeah, well, especially if you're using multiple resources, internal and external resources, like if you've got your own service that you run in-house, and then you've got other web services that you're hitting, it's like fetch from this, fetch from that, we know that this is reliable, we know this one's not. I don't know, there's probably a lot to managing all that. There's probably a whole science to it that's got some name that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, and nothing's coming to mind for me right now, so... We still got some work to do.
API design, maybe.
Cool. So we left off on console log descriptors. Let's do console log object.keys descriptors hand. Now, before we do that, what do you think is going to happen?
On a console log?
I just realized that if I cover this with my hand on the left side of the screen, that doesn't translate to video.
No, I can't. We can't.
You gotta do, I wanted you to do console log object keys descriptors hand. Big O.
I don't like big O.
I'm sorry that you don't. It's a function.
That's what she said.
No. Object.keys is a function. Object.keys is a function and descriptors.hand is an argument. This is just a hoot.
I've never written code before.
What happened?
I don't know.
You wrote descriptor, it's descriptors.
I literally can't debug this.
It's cool. I think that that's part of the charm of what we're doing is just you fumbling around.
No, I'm having a... What's next?
Cool. So we did descriptors.hand, and what did that give us? That gave us...
The... methods?
So descriptors.hand is the descriptors, is an object which gave us it was the descriptor, I'll put it that way, for hand. So object.keys gives us the keys in the descriptor for hand. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. We're just integrating some of the stuff that we used earlier. Are you okay? That was a big...
Sweet. This is freaking sweet. I like this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm glad that was reintegrated.
I like object.
Okay. And let's do a console log descriptors hand get. I just want to see exactly what he's seeing. That's object.keys. Yeah.
Descriptors hand get.
Cool. So, yeah. It just gives us... Well, that's interesting to me because... Is that the original function? So is a function descriptor just the function? Or does it not... Is it not recursive? I don't know. I'm confused by that, to be quite frank.
I don't know.
Alright, well, let's just skip this. Let's just skip this part.
Okay.
Object.get own property descriptors handles string keys as well as symbol keys. Node symbol show. We got some funny formatting there, not a big deal. In order to show symbol keys in Node and in some browsers, instead of console.log, use console.dir with the flag show hidden true. Check out this Node issue for more information. Blah, blah. Cool. So now I guess we're gonna start talking about symbols.
Oh my gosh.
Right. You got...
Why did I do that?
I don't know. You got some stuff to type in though, bud.
Cancel. Should I delete everything?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Oh no.
I know, it's like you just delete everything you worked so hard for.
Yeah, don't type that. Don't type that.
What do you want me to type?
I want you to undo that and put back the thing that you deleted. Yeah, just don't do the console log at the bottom. Yep. Cool, and then write the simple stuff.
I don't know how to get. How do you get to the end of the line?
And on a full-size keyboard.
I don't want to have one of those. Got the little Mac keyboard. On a PC. What we should do is we should have some banjo music playing while I'm tapping like this. Or just me singing. 414.
Cool. Can you copy everything from line 18 down, and we'll pop that into WebKit or the developer console.
Grab Korean.
Yeah, just not that first line. You copied the descriptors part, yeah. You don't want that. Yeah, sorry, I told you the wrong line. 21 down. Cool. Alright, that's what we wanted to see. So symbol, test, configurable, enumerable, value, writable. Radical. So as a consequence, where are we at? As a consequence, object.getOwnProperty descriptors can be used to make shallow copies of objects using object.create. That's an interesting concept. Can be used. Can you resist the urge to do that while I'm reading? Object.getOwnProperty descriptors can be used to make shallow copies of objects using object.create. I don't understand quite yet how that would work. I know how object.create works to create shallow copies. I don't know how getOwnProperty descriptors would play into that. Object.create takes two arguments: prototype of the object we wish to clone, property descriptors of the object. Oh, okay. So create is kind of already formed. It already allows us to do that with property descriptors. Well, that answers the question. In order to illustrate the difference between a shallow copy and a deep copy, let's create a shallow copy of the player object defined above. Okay, that's why I didn't want you to delete that. Cool. So you're going to delete everything from 21 down, and you're going to add a line above line 18, and that is going to be let proto equals.
Something that smells like a bad hog.
And then line 23. So this is how the sausage is made right here. Object create proto descriptors. So we got the prototype of player, and then we're feeding in the property descriptors. So this is supposed to create. That new player is all down case. You gotta camel case that. Cool. So then we do a console log of player chips and new player chips. So what this is illustrating is that player and new player are different objects. Before, you're also missing an equal sign on line 23. Yeah.
Kablooey.
Rad. So if we had done let new player equals player, you might have thought that that would have just made a new player, but that's not the case. It would have been referring to the same player. and those, there you go, the chips would be the exact same. And I'm sure that there's other ways to do all of this, but this is just the most obvious one. Well, that is interesting. Okay, let's...
Undefined.
Okay, let's move on to the next part. So we have created two seemingly independent entities. However, when trying to change a card of the new player, the change will be made in the context of the old player as well. And they want you to log the cards. Cards 1. And the other player. Yeah, so do you know what's going on here?
Yeah.
Why did changing the chips keep them distinct, but changing cards 1 change both of them? Can you go into a little bit of depth about why that might be? Alright, dead air. The reason is because it was a shallow copy, not a deep copy. So two ways of thinking about this is just if you have a complex object, so to speak, that has objects within the object, right? Like we have here with the array for the cards, then a shallow copy doesn't clone everything. So in essence, cards still points to the same place in memory for new player that that player had. So that's the downside of shallow copying. And you know what? In practice, I honestly have not ever really had a need for shallow copying, but I'm sure that somebody out there somewhere absolutely has.
Shallow copying just seems like it would confuse you.
Yeah, no doubt, and I'm sure it does confuse a lot of people. Alternatively, can you imagine the kind of code behind the scenes for deep copying? What do you think the one technique, the one well-known computer science concept is used for deep copying?
Recursion.
That's right. Although I can't guarantee that that's how it's actually implemented, that would be the easy way to do it in a coding interview. Yeah. So anyway,
not iteratively.
You could break it up. You could break it up.
Sweet. Well, new string extensions, or
oh, cool. We're finally
should
to
we
the string part.
Save that for the next episode.
No, I mean we're almost to the end, so we might as well do it.
Alrighty.
So yeah, let's do the new string extensions, and I think that means that we can delete everything.
Delete it all.
Cool. This section is about two string prototype extensions, pad start and pad end. Okay, we might actually be going into unexplored territory here. So let's see if these are available. Let's go to the other tab. And just these padding is used to add additional characters to start our. Oh, finally we have padding. That's great.
What does that allow us to do?
Pad.
Sweet.
It says it right there. Padding is used to add additional characters to the start or the end of a string so that it reaches a given size. Padding is useful in character mode for alignment. So I don't think he's referring to an actual web dev thing. What I think he's referring to is that if you're doing stuff, if you're writing, say, a command line program, say it has to display tabular data, a lot of times what you end up having to do, obviously, is to align stuff in cells and align the cell pipe, for example. So you want to separate the cells with pipes, but you need to pad everything in column A so that the maximum width is the width for all of the cells in all of the rows. I know that sounds kind of abstract, but if you just think about it like a spreadsheet, you can't have cells that are different sizes.
This type of stuff.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
I've always wanted to pretty print my own cells.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun, and I have a book on C that does that, so if you're interested, I can lend you that book.
I want to make a roguelike with ASCII art, and yeah.
And you're going to need to do some alignment, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, actually, I got some resources that might be able to help you with that.
This is going to fail, but I'm going to attempt it anyway.
Sure. And I'll just... Do you want me to tell you if you're messing something up, or do you want me to just watch and laugh?
I honestly can't even tell what I'm trying to type.
Well, right now you're typing a destructuring assignment. So amount split is going to return an array.
Yeah, but I can't tell if I'm supposed to type square brackets or curly braces, and I already accidentally submitted it, so...
Okay, well, if you just press up, and then you can restore it, and then press equal, and you can keep... Oh, fuck.
I lost my...
You just press equal, and how did you
just
shift return?
shift and return.
Well, I'm going to let you do that. Sweet. Cool.
And I have to have spaces for alignment.
You don't
we don't have
to.
this thing built in.
We don't have this money.
We don't have it.
So I was trying to explain what the whole let thing was doing. It's just destructuring. So we can count... I see what you're saying about how you can't read this, because the M in amount, we don't have enough pixels to actually see the little dip in the middle of the M, so it looks like an N, so it looks like it says amount.
I can't see whether it's a curly brace or a square bracket.
Alright, well you should get your eyes checked, because I can see that just fine.
Well, it depends on where on the screen you're looking.
Oh, there's some dead spots.
Well, see this one right here?
I do.
Is that a square bracket
That's
or
a square. That's square.
Or a parentheses?
That's a square
It looks
bracket.
the same as this one.
No, it does. It doesn't. That one has a little nib coming off of it.
I'm gonna nib you.
Okay. So, pad and right. So, as I was saying, let front comma back equals empty string equals amount split. We know that amount is going to at most give us amount split on the decimal is going to give us at most 2 elements.
Is this interpolation?
Yeah.
Never seen that before in JavaScript.
It's new-ish, relatively new.
Alrighty. Should I slam the enter button here, or what's going on?
Sure, why not? Let's see what happens.
Kablooey!
Nice. See, you got it pretty much on the first try.
I typed it.
If the second argument of pad start or pad end is not given, then it assumes it's a single empty whitespace character. Space. Yeah. Maybe we should sign up.
Subscribe. Give us a good old subscribe, guys.
Alright, so, I mean, I think that's the end of the video, and we can just cut it right here. Or you can hit...
Subscribe now.
You can...
Is that illegal?
Yeah, this is wire fraud.
It's not working anyway.
That's cool.
All
Well,
right.
that was pretty illuminating. Do you feel like you learned something?
Yeah, I did.
And that was a super long...
It's a long one, but we'll upload it right quick. And it looks like our release schedule is going to be about once a week on these. But if we record 9 of them
Are you
next
gonna
time...
Pause?